The galaxy had always been a place of careful calculations, alliances, and threats, yet no council had ever faced a challenge quite like humanity. Far beyond the well-charted sectors, a small human fleet navigated through the cold emptiness of space, their warships sleek, silent, and powerful beyond the alien leader's understanding. Captain Elena Drake stood at the bridge of the lead ship, her eyes fixed on the holographic map of the Galactic Council's sector. Every star, every patrol route, every hidden defense had been studied, logged, and memorized. Yet she knew this was more than a mission of strategy, was a test of courage, intelligence, and resolve. Behind her, the crew moved with silent precision, every hand, every eye, every mind, perfectly in sync. They had trained for this moment, but no training could erase the tension that thickened the air. Humanity had sent warnings, diplomatic messages, and pleas for restraint, but the galactic leaders had scoffed. They had laughed at humanity's insistence, dismissed their advances, and underestimated the small blue planet that had dared to challenge centuries of domination. And now, the humans were bringing the war to them, not with arrogance, but with calculated purpose. The universe seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see if these humans would survive the first encounter. The first sign of the alien dismissal had been subtle, yet it had sparked outrage across human command. Diplomatic channels flooded with mocking transmissions, messages laced with condescension, threats thinly veiled as advice. The Council's leaders believed their superiority was unquestionable. They believed the humans' warnings were the squeak of a small, insignificant species. But Captain Drake and her crew knew the truth. Their technology, their strategy, and their courage had grown far beyond what anyone expected. The humans had hidden warships, cloaked drones, and advanced AI systems that could predict enemy movements. With terrifying accuracy, every starship in the fleet was more than it appeared, every crew member prepared to act with precision and intelligence. The Council had assumed weakness, but this assumption was about to cost them dearly. The humans were approaching the sector silently, their path undetectable to the eyes of those who had mocked them. The first sparks of tension spread through. The galaxy, even if the alien leaders did not yet realize it, Commander Varkan, one of the most respected leaders in the Council, stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at empty space, unaware of the small fleet heading toward him. His advisors assured him that humanity posed no threat, that their ships were fragile, and that their tactics would be simple and predictable. "They are only one planet's fleet," his chief officer said confidently. "They cannot hope to challenge the Council. Prepare to intercept, but do not waste more resources than necessary." Varkan's pride swelled, and for the first time in decades, he allowed himself a laugh. But even as he spoke, subtle anomalies appeared on his sensors' flickers shifts, and readings that made no sense. His multiple eyes narrowed. "Check." "Again," he ordered, voice low and tense. "Something is off. They should not appear here." His officers obeyed, scanning and rescanning, yet the data offered no clarity. The humans were moving with intent, unseen, unpredictable, a small shadow stretching across the cosmos. The Council's confidence faltered, replaced with the first seeds of unease. Varkan refused to admit it aloud. Captain Drake watched the Council's sector grow larger on the view screen. "They expect arrogance to blind them," she said, softly. "Let them think we are small, weak, and unprepared. They will learn differently." Her crew moved efficiently, adjusting formations and activating cloaking fields. Every decision was designed to mislead, confuse, and manipulate. As the fleet neared patrol routes, invisible drones slipped past sensors, jamming communications and leaving the Council's scouts in confusion. Weapons that were thought to be advanced by alien standards were suddenly disabled, systems frozen, mid-calculation, and fleets drifting without coordination. The humans were not just attacking, they were teaching a lesson in intelligence, cunning, and patience. Every strike, every maneuver, every calculated silence built tension, creating suspense that rippled through both human and alien minds. The aliens had believed they were untouchable, but they had yet to see what humanity could truly do. Suddenly, sensors on the alien flagship flared in alarm. Fleets were reporting anomalies, systems failing without explanation, and drones vanishing. from detection. Commander Varkan's officers panicked, shouting over each other, unable to understand what was happening. The humans' small fleet, moving with unmatched precision, had infiltrated the outer defenses without a shot fired. Each human ship had hidden capabilities, allowing them to strike without revealing their full strength. Varkan's mind raced. His arrogance had led him to underestimate a species that had not only grown in strength but had learned to think in ways Council had never imagined. The humans had crossed into their sector without warning, bypassed patrols, and now hovered at the edge of the Council's central systems, ready to demonstrate that even the smallest force could bring fear, confusion, and awe. Captain Drake allowed a brief, calm smile. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. "They will learn the cost of ignoring humanity." The crew understood the weight of her words. Humanity was no longer pleading for recognition or respect. They were taking action. Across the galaxy, the stage was set for a confrontation that would reshape alliances, challenge arrogance, and demonstrate the terrifying brilliance of a species that had been dismissed for far too long. The Council, confident and blind to the humans' potential, had crossed a line. And humanity had come to show that lines once crossed could be reclaimed with intelligence, courage, and unstoppable strategy. The warning ignored would now demand attention, and the galaxy itself waited in suspense, ready for the humans' first move. The blackness of space stretched endlessly as the human fleet moved deeper into the Council's sector, invisible to the sensors of the unsuspecting patrols. Captain Alina Drake stood at the command console, her eyes scanning every blip, every shadow, every distant shimmer of light. The humans were vastly outnumbered, yet their confidence was unshakable. "Stay sharp," she said quietly, her voice calm but commanding. "They will think they are superior, but they are walking straight into our plan." Behind her, the crew adjusted formations, deployed cloaked drones, and readied hidden weapon systems that the alien patrols could not detect. The tension was palpable. Every second counted. Every movement mattered. The patrols, massive and heavily armed, assumed dominance of these star lanes. They believed humanity would run, plead, or fall in predictable ways. They were wrong. The humans had learned to use every advantage, every shadow, every unpredictable tactic to turn weakness into power. And now, the first encounter of the battle was about to begin. Alien sensors flared as the patrol fleet approached a narrow corridor between asteroids, a strategic choke point designed to trap any invader. Commander Varkan's subordinates were confident that the humans would be easy prey. "Small ships, no match for heavily armed cruisers. They are insignificant," one officer said arrogantly. "Prepare to destroy them." Varkan's eyes narrowed, a flicker of caution crossing his usually calm demeanor. "Do not underestimate them." "Stay alert," he ordered, though he could not yet grasp the humans' true potential. The alien ships moved into formation, confident, precise, and ready to strike. But the humans were not where the aliens expected. Invisible drones had already slipped past sensors, jamming communications, and leaving the patrols blind to the true positions of the fleet. Every alien commander believed they controlled the battlefield, but in reality, they were stepping into an invisible web woven with intelligence, strategy, and patience. Captain Drake gave a slight nod, and the ambush was set into motion. The human fleet shifted silently, using asteroid shadows to mask movement. One by one, cloaked drones fired electromagnetic pulses, disabling shields and engines of the lead alien cruisers. Lasers fired in perfect timing, striking isolated ships with surgical precision. The patrol fleet, confident and arrogant, suddenly found their formations breaking apart. Ships drifted uncontrollably, weapons locked up, communications scrambled. Officers shouted commands, but their voices were lost in confusion as the humans moved unseen, striking from angles that seemed impossible. The aliens could not predict what was happening, each new strike creating panic, frustration, and fear. Humanity, small and underestimated, had turned the first encounter into a lesson of cleverness, timing, and precision. The humans did not attack blindly. Captain Drake's strategy relied on forcing the aliens into mistakes. As one cruiser attempted, two hidden turrets emerged from asteroid shadows, firing disabling shots that left engines smoking and weapons offline. Another ship tried to charge forward, only to drift helplessly as magnetic pulses from drones jammed navigation systems. The alien fleet, once confident in their superior numbers, now faltered with every move. Commander Varkin's face darkened. In disbelief? Impossible, he shouted. How can one fleet cause such chaos? His officers looked at each other in fear, realizing that arrogance had led them straight into disaster. The humans were clever, prepared, and calm qualities that numbers alone could not overcome. The patrol fleet, the supposed first line of defense, had become a collection of disabled, confused, and vulnerable ships in mere minutes. Amid the chaos, Captain Drake's calm voice guided her crew. Focus, patience, exploit their errors. Every hesitation is our advantage. Her words resonated with the crew, who executed flawless maneuvers, striking critical systems, jamming weapons, and leaving the aliens scrambling. Every successful strike was measured, every ambush calculated. Patrol fleet's pride had turned into panic, and their inability to respond only intensified the humans' control of the battlefield. Even the most experienced alien officers began to doubt their plans. The humans were not fighting with brute force. They were fighting with intelligence, creativity, and an understanding of tactics the aliens could not anticipate. The first encounter in deep space had turned into a spectacular demonstration of strategy and precision. Leaving one undeniable truth across the galaxy, humanity was not to be underestimated. By the end of the ambush, the surviving alien ships had drifted back in disarray, battered and humiliated. Captain Drake allowed herself a brief, calm smile. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. "They will learn that ignoring humanity comes with a cost." The crew maintained focus, understanding that the Council's full force would soon arrive, and this was only the first step in a larger campaign. Across the silent void, the humans had sent a clear message: cleverness, preparation, and courage could turn the impossible into reality. The galaxy had begun to take notice. The patrol fleet had been defeated not by overwhelming firepower, but by brains, precision, and timing, and the Council would soon understand the warning that had been ignored for too long. The central sector of the Galactic Council shimmered in the distance, a vast cluster of stars, massive space stations, and command vessels that radiated power and authority. Captain Alina Drake's human fleet approached cautiously, every move deliberate, every formation calculated. The alien leaders, long accustomed to unquestioned dominance, had no idea that their arrogance had blinded them to the true capabilities of humanity. From the observation deck of the Council's flagship, Commander Varkan peered at distant sensor readings that seemed wrong. Ships that should have been far away were now unexpectedly close, moving with a precision no alien technology had ever predicted. Officers scrambled to verify data, double-checking their sensors, but each confirmation only deepened their disbelief. "Impossible," Varkan whispered, his usually calm voice strained with tension. "They cannot reach this far, this fast." Yet the human fleet continued, invisible cloaked drones masking their approach. Every maneuver designed to confuse, distract, and intimidate. The Council, confident in their overwhelming numbers, was about to face a threat they had never imagined. Captain Drake's eyes scanned the holographic projection of the sector, noting every patrol route, every station, every weak point in the Council's defenses. "They think we are small, weak, and unprepared," she murmured. "They will learn differently." Her crew moved like a single organism, executing maneuvers, deploying drones, activating electronic warfare systems to scramble alien communications. Every human ship was more than it appeared, every weapon hidden until the perfect moment. Alien patrols suddenly reported anomaly shields flickering, engines misfiring, weapon systems shutting down without cause. Panic began to ripple through the Council's ranks. The humans were not just advancing, they were dictating the pace, forcing the Council's fleets into mistakes, turning confidence into fear. Each alien officer struggled to maintain order, but the invisible hand of human strategy controlled. the battlefield with terrifying efficiency. As the fleet drew closer, Svarkan ordered a concentrated defense, attempting to form a wall of cruisers and frigates between the humans and the Council's command stations. But Captain Drake anticipated this, using gravitational pulls from nearby stars and asteroid clusters. The human ships maneuvered unpredictably, slipping past defenses like shadows in the dark. Cloaked drones disabled engines and jammed communications, leaving alien ships isolated and vulnerable. One by one, patrol ships drifted helplessly, their crews shouting orders into silence as human precision strikes destroyed weapons arrays and navigation systems. The Council had assumed that power and size guaranteed control, but the humans proved that intelligence, strategy, and coordination could turn even the smallest force into an unstoppable threat. Commander Varkin's fury grew with every passing minute. He barked orders, demanded reports, and tried to regain control, but nothing worked. His massive fleet, designed to intimidate, was falling apart under the invisible assault. "Focus fire, surround them, destroy them," he shouted, but the humans remained elusive, striking unpredictably from angles he could not anticipate. The Council's confidence crumbled. Every attempt to retaliate only revealed weaknesses the humans had already studied and exploited. Captain Drake's calm voice guided the crew through each move. "Predict, trap, disable. Never reveal all our strength." They must feel fear before they can think clearly, and fear it did. Across the Council's sector, officers and leaders alike realized that humanity was no longer a minor species. They were a calculated, cunning force capable of dictating the flow of battle. As the first human strikes reached critical points near the Council's command stations, alarms blared, and panic spread like wildfire. Ships that were meant to defend these stations malfunctioned. Weapons misfired, shields flickered, and communications broke down entirely. The Council leaders' faces drained of color as they watched their defenses crumble before a fleet that seemed impossibly small, yet overwhelmingly effective. Varkin's own pride, his belief in invincibility, shattered as he realized he had underestimated humanity in ways that could cost them everything. Captain Drake allowed a faint smile. Humanity had crossed into the heart of the Galactic Council, demonstrating that cleverness, strategy, and courage could overcome overwhelming force. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the galaxy and leave one undeniable truth. The humans had arrived, and they would not be ignored. The fleet paused briefly, waiting for further orders, the silence of space heavy with tension. Captain Drake knew that the Council's full attention would soon be on them, and that the coming battle would test every skill, every plan, every ounce of human ingenuity. The humans were ready. The Council, for the first time, felt the cold weight of fear. Across the holographic map, scattered alien ships twitched and faltered, trapped in the invisible web of human strategy. Humanity was no longer pleading. Humanity was bringing the war to them, and the galaxy would never see them the same way again. The heart of the Galactic Council's sector shimmered with the brilliance of countless starships, massive defense platforms, and energy shields that had long been considered impenetrable. Yet Captain Alina Drake's human fleet moved with silent precision, weaving through asteroid belts and gravitational currents that alien commanders had never calculated. Every ship, every drone, every hidden weapon had been deployed with meticulous planning. "Psst. Stay sharp," Captain Drake said softly, her eyes scanning the holographic map. "We are not just here to fight. We are here to teach them a lesson they will never forget." Behind her, the crew moved with mechanical efficiency, activating cloaked drones, energy disruptors, and precision laser systems. The Council's fleet, confident in its superior numbers and firepower, had no idea that their first encounter with humans was about to become a nightmare. Commander Varkin, watching from the bridge of his flagship, felt unease creeping into his confidence. Alien officers shouted orders, directing cruisers and frigates into position, attempting to block the human advance. Yet the humans were already inside their lines, invisible, striking from angles no one had predicted. Cloaked drones disabled, engines of lead ships and electromagnetic pulses jammed communication channels. Weapons fired blindly, hitting nothing as humans used gravitational anomalies and asteroid shadows to their advantage. Panic spread across the fleet, officers yelling over one another as their formations collapsed. Varkin's pride had led him into overconfidence, and now every error he had assumed impossible became a vulnerability that humans exploited with surgical precision. The humans were not just fighting, they were orchestrating chaos, turning confusion into a weapon far more effective than any laser or missile. Captain Drake's voice remained calm, almost serene as she issued orders. Target command ships. First, disable weapons, then engines. Keep them scattered. Exploit every hesitation. Her crew executed perfectly. One by one, alien ships faltered, drifting helplessly as hidden weapons systems crippled navigation and shields. A massive cruiser attempted to flank the humans, but found itself trapped by energy nets deployed from invisible drones. Lasers struck. With unerring accuracy, engines froze, and weapon systems melted under coordinated electromagnetic waves. Every strike was measured, every maneuver calculated to leave no room for recovery. The Council fleet, once a symbol of unchallenged power, had become a scattered collection of helpless vessels. Varkin's shouts of command were swallowed by chaos, his pride turning to terror as he realized that the humans were controlling the battlefield completely. The first major breach came when the humans disabled the central energy shields protecting the Council's command stations. Hidden drones infiltrated the defense grids, cutting power and creating chaos among defensive platforms. Alien ships drifted without coordination, weapons firing randomly into empty space, shields collapsing under precision strikes. The humans, small and underestimated, moved like phantoms, each strike demonstrating intelligence, preparation, and tactical brilliance. Captain Drake allowed herself a faint smile as she watched the chaos unfold. The Council's arrogance had blinded them, and now the cost of that arrogance was clear. The humans had broken the lines, showing that cleverness and courage could overcome overwhelming numbers. Every surviving alien officer began to understand the terrifying reality. This was not a battle they could win. By strength alone, Varkin's panic reached a fever pitch as he tried to reorganize his forces. Concentrate on the humans. Destroy them before they reach the core, he barked. But the humans were already inside the critical defense perimeter, their fleet moving with a silent inevitability. Cloaked drones struck again and again, disabling engines, weapons, and communications. The aliens were trapped in a nightmare of their own making, each move predicted, countered, and exploited. The Council fleet had been formidable, confident, and feared across the galaxy, but the humans had rewritten the rules of engagement in moments, demonstrating that intellect, patience, and strategy were far deadlier than raw firepower. By the time the first Council ships began retreating to regroup, the human fleet had already withdrawn slightly, leaving a clear message: the lines could be broken, defenses could be bypassed, and the arrogance of the Council had been exposed. Captain Drake's calm voice resonated through the bridge. This is only the beginning. Let them see the cost of underestimating humanity. The crew nodded, understanding that the galaxy had witnessed the rise of a force that could challenge even the most confident fleets. The Council, humiliated and shaken, now faced a new reality. Humanity was clever, unstoppable, and no longer willing to wait for others to respect them. The shock of broken lines would ripple through the sector, leaving one undeniable truth in its wake. The humans of the tiny blue planet had come to fight, and the galaxy would never forget it. The once-proud Council fleet drifted in disarray, alarms blaring across command ships, shields flickering, and engines sputtering. Commander Varkin's face was pale under the dim glow of emergency lights, his pride shattered by the humans. Precision and cunning. He shouted orders, desperate to regain control, but every command was met with chaos. Officers argued, ships collided, and the once feared fleet of the Council now looked like a fragile, broken shadow of its former power. Captain Alina Drake's human fleet hovered just outside the chaos, calm and composed, observing with strategic patience. "They are breaking themselves," she whispered, her voice carrying over the hum of the bridge. "Every misstep they make is our advantage. Do not rush. Let them collapse on their own." Her crew, trained for moments like this, followed orders flawlessly, disabling isolated ships, jamming communication lines, and deploying precision strikes that left alien vessels helpless. The humans had not just attacked, they had orchestrated confusion, turning arrogance into panic, and transforming fear into a weapon far stronger than any laser. Varkin's officers struggled to maintain order, but it was futile. The Council's command network, once a symbol of supreme control, was compromised. Communication between fleets faltered as cloaked drones jammed signals, leaving ships isolated and officers helpless. Weapons misfired, engines froze, and panic spread faster than any human strike. Even the most experienced officers had no idea how to respond. "We cannot stop them," one shouted, eyes wide with fear. "They are everywhere we cannot see." Varkan clenched his fists, realizing that his arrogance had led him straight into this nightmare. He had assumed that humans were small, weak, and predictable. Now, he faced a species that was smarter, faster, and more cunning than he could have imagined. The humans had brought strategy, intelligence, and precision to a level that no amount of firepower could counter. Captain Drake watched the collapse with careful calculation. "Focus on command ships," she instructed. "Disable their leadership first. Once they see their orders fail, the rest will follow." Her crew executed flawlessly, striking vital systems, cutting power to weapon arrays, and leaving key alien vessels drifting helplessly in space. Panic turned into chaos as alien officers struggled to respond. Ships collided, weapons discharged randomly, and the fleet lost all cohesion. The humans had turned the tide not through overwhelming numbers, but by exploiting weaknesses, predicting movements, and using the alien arrogance against them. Every move was a demonstration of human intelligence, patience, and tactical brilliance. The once mighty Council fleet now teetered on the edge of total collapse. A humiliating spectacle in the vast emptiness of space, the Council leaders, witnessing the unraveling of their fleet, began to argue among themselves. "We cannot allow this," one demanded. "They are only a small species," another countered, voice trembling. But words alone could not stop the humans. Captain Drake's fleet was already striking again, targeting remaining command ships and defensive platforms. With surgical accuracy, the humans were not reckless. They were patient, exploiting every hesitation, every error, every moment of alien overconfidence. Varkin realized the depth of his mistake. He had underestimated humanity, and now his entire fleet was paying the price. Chaos spread like wildfire through the Council's ranks, leaving fear and confusion where once there had been pride and confidence. As the surviving alien ships began to retreat, battered and demoralized, Captain Drake allowed her fleet a brief pause. "They will carry this lesson with them," she said softly, "and they will think twice before underestimating us again." The humans maintained formation, ready for any counterattack, yet calm in the knowledge that the Council had already suffered a decisive blow across the galaxy. Intelligence reports would later describe this battle not as a human victory alone, but as the moment when a small, underestimated species proved its brilliance to an entire galaxy. Fear, respect, and awe would ripple through alien civilizations. Humanity had turned arrogance into chaos, weakness into strategy, and small numbers into unstoppable power. The Council had crossed the line, and now humanity had shown them exactly what that meant. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. The remnants of the Council fleet limped back toward their central sector, battered, humiliated, and shaken to their cores. Commander Varkin, his face pale under the emergency lights of his flagship, struggled to comprehend the destruction humanity had unleashed. Every calculation he had trusted, every assumption about the humans' weakness, had been shattered. Captain Alina Drake's fleet hovered calmly above the chaos there. Ships sleek, precise, and unyielding. The humans had not come to beg, plead, or negotiate. They had come to warn, to demonstrate, and to assert their presence in a galaxy that had long dismissed them. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer a species to be ignored. They were intelligent, they were prepared, and they were willing to act with unmatched precision. The Council had crossed the line. Now they would face the consequences of arrogance. Varkin's officers scrambled desperately to reorganize what remained of their fleet. Orders were shouted, commands repeated, but the human strikes had already fractured morale beyond repair. Ships floated adrift, weapons offline, shields collapsed, and communications broken. Across the sector, whispers of panic spread among alien civilizations, reports of a small fleet of humans dismantling the mighty Council had reached far corners of the galaxy. Captain Drake allowed a faint, satisfied smile as she observed the aftermath. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "They will never forget today. They will respect us, or they will pay the price." The humans had proven not through reckless firepower, but through intelligence, strategy, and courage that a species underestimated could dominate even the strongest fleets. Every movement, every strike, every calculated pause had been a lesson in tactical brilliance. The Council leaders, now gathered on their command platforms, faced a grim reality. Their confidence, built over centuries, had been destroyed in hours. They had assumed that humanity was weak, predictable, and small. Now, they saw clearly the cost of misjudgment. Captain Drake initiated the next phase, a visible, unmistakable demonstration of power. Human ships moved into formation near the Council's main command stations. Shields active, weapons ready, but unfired, a silent warning of what could happen if arrogance persisted. "They must understand," she murmured to her crew, "that we do not make threats lightly. We act with precision, with purpose, and with consequences they cannot ignore." Every crew member understood the significance. Humanity was not just fighting a battle. They were sending a message that would echo across the galaxy for generations. Commander Varkin swallowed hard as he watched the human fleet, finally grasping the true meaning of the encounter. "They're not just ships," he said quietly too. His remaining officers? "They are a force unlike anything we have faced. Intelligence, precision, courage, they have turned our arrogance into ruin." His officers nodded, fear and awe reflecting in their eyes. For the first time, they realized the humans were not merely defenders of a small planet. They were a species capable of shaping galactic politics, capable of forcing even the mightiest civilizations to rethink every assumption they had ever held. Humanity had crossed into their territory, not with blind violence, but with mastery, control, and unshakable resolve. Captain Drake addressed her fleet calmly, yet with unwavering authority. "We have shown them what we can do," she said. "Now we wait, and we ensure they remember the price of crossing the line. Respect is earned, and we have proven our worth. Let them retreat, let them rebuild, but let them know humanity will never bow, never beg, and never be underestimated." The humans' message was delivered. The Council fleet, battered and humiliated, withdrew to regroup, carrying with them the memory of a species that had fought with unmatched brilliance, intelligence, and courage. Across the galaxy, stories of this battle would spread, tales of the humans who had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious, shaping the perceptions of countless civilizations. Humanity had issued its ultimatum: respect them, or face the consequences of misjudgment. The galaxy had witnessed a new power rise not through sheer size, but through strategy, courage, and the undeniable brilliance of a species once dismissed. The humans of the blue planet had arrived, and the universe would never look at them the same way again.